Go ahead.
This is Ira Victor from the Data Security Podcast, and I'm here at RSA conference all week covering security issues. And there were two things that I found interesting at the show this week. One was the Innovator Sandbox that covered new startups related to information security. And there were some very interesting, actually all the companies that presented were very fascinating. But what the trend that I thought that was most interesting was that there were a lot of companies doing some version of two-factor authentication. So I think that may be a precursor to a trend that we'll see with more and more adoption of two-factor authentication, which I think is good. And then secondly, the other part that I thought that was really interesting was the session on e-discovery with 3 judges and a distinguished moderator that covers the issue of e-discovery and the Sedona conference, which is where the standards were made, and how the panel, the head of the panel, the moderator, was very critical of states that want to attempt to put licensure around information security professionals that do forensics, or around the legislation that tries to make private eyes be eligible for their license to do forensic work. So either from one angle or the other, the mixing of private eye laws with forensics was criticized on the panel. The state where I live and where I broadcast my podcast from, we have a lot of action in the state House this year to try to do some of that. So it was very interesting to see a national trend, but also criticism of what's happening around the country in relation to licensure and forensics. So those are the two big highlights that I've seen so far from the RSA Security Show here in San Francisco. And I'm Ira Victor from the Data Security Podcast, 30 minutes every week on data security, your privacy, and the law.